cranking them out. Like I said, I intend to do 4. And don't worry, a reaction video with me going crazy and getting mad is coming up next, probably. At least 2 of them. But we need to do a chart on basic political theory, because apparently the damage to people's minds, done by dipshits like Steven Crowder, or dumbasses like Ben Shapiro, or stupid criminal hacks like Dinesh D'Souza, has a lot of Americans really not sure about how basic political theory works. You get a lot of people trying to say that, like, fascism is on the left, and Trump is very progressive, and all sorts of like dumb shit that I keep hearing in different, or I keep reading on Facebook, or I keep reading in person. So I feel, even though if this video doesn't be my most popular, I feel the need to explain basic political theory from center to left and then center to right, because it's really pissing me off how a lot of people keep trying to say, like, oh, Hitler was a socialist. No, Hitler was not a fucking socialist. We start in the political center, and this is where you will see most of the Democratic National Convention. A lot of Republicans, even though these people technically are to the left of most Republicans nowadays, they are centrist. These people do not call for workers' rights, really. They are not really consistent on things like civil rights movements and shit. And they really don't speak of many social programs or wealth reappropriation to the public. Democrats make basic common sense social reforms and are not fucking racist bigots, but so they are not really considered the left in a traditional way most people view leftism, because they don't, Democrats, they sometimes partake in wealth distribution, through ways of, things like welfare and food stamps. And of course, lightly support unions from time to time, but they are not known for, their hardline wealth redistribution policies. I hope this works. But yeah, some people in contemporary politics that will fit here are, of course, like both Clintons. Hold up, capital letters. Both Clintons. I don't care about the apostrophe. Pelosi would fit here. Chuck Schumer, I'm not sure how to spell his name, so we would just put Chuck would kind of fit here. And even Joe Biden himself is a centrist Democrat. These people are not known for, they're talking of wealth redistribution or progressive politics. And then we move a little further to the left, and we get ideologies such as progressivism and social democracy. These people are not sometimes necessarily all that different from your average everyday Democrats, but they are more known for supporting, even they are more aggressive with their support of basic infrastructure, living wages, and just not wealth reappropriation to the workers, but wealth distribution to the workers. They are more likely to support unions. They're more likely to be down for things that help with climate change. They're more to be down with things like transportation services. And a lot of these people that fit in this category that are in the Democratic Party today are people of color and have faced persecution because of, said being a person of color, or have worked for a living at one time or another. People in government today, is like Cortez, for instance. So like a lot of people bitch about her, or Jamal Bowman, think of at least one more. And Rashida Tlaib are just three examples of, people from today that will fit in, that are alive today that will fit here in this category. And then as we move further to the left, though, it seems as though something in the American political way of thinking is missing. And the reason for that, basically to sum it up, during Reconstruction and after Reconstruction, workers in general and union organizers were being oppressed and brutalized by groups like the Pinkertons. Left-wing thought, especially after the Russian Revolution, was pretty much criminalized. Anybody thought of to be a suspected communist or trade unionist would be blacklisted and banned from having jobs in Hollywood or having jobs in government in general. They even took it too far as saying that if you come from another country like Russia or Poland or, China, which were at the Cold War at the time, these countries were taken over by Marx-Leninist dictatorships. If you claim to be a communist and you came from another country, you couldn't get in. So that's why most leftists in America are just these random people who really are not holding any government positions. But throughout history, we have had leaders that fit the description of actual leftism. We're talking leftism, whether we're talking leftism, true left-wing politics. Include ideologies such as anarchism. And no, Ben Shapiro, you stupid son of a bitch, anarchism is not on the right. Anarchism seeks the abolishment of not only private property, but also the abolition of all unnecessary social and economic hierarchy, where everybody gets what they need. And we live in a society where the people are in 100% control. There are no rich people. There are just communes of people having what they need and doing what they want to do. Next to those people, we have the socialists, which you can argue, or socialists, which means the workers own the means of production. That's why you will notice even today a lot of trade unionists are socialists, because socialism wants the workers to be in control of their plants, factories, or other means of productivity, and the workers choose their hours and collectively own that mean of production. So everybody is getting a cut, a proper cut of the income made from that business. Last but not least is the communist, which I feel like I disagree with the most, but can ally with them under certain circumstances where the government owns the means of production. You will see heavy price controls on certain industries, and you will see government control of basic amenities and stuff like oil or shit like band-aids and whatnot. But also in these societies, you will see I'm not saying if a communist government was to pop up today, a true one, not like the People's Republic of China, because that's not real communism, but you will see a lack of consumer goods, I kind of find, in a society like this where the government controls the materials of production. But all in all, people who fit the description of true leftism is people like Bernie Sanders or Fred Hampton, or of course Martin Luther King was a socialist. further to the left than you probably would imagine for a Christian man. Do I need to really get more examples and stuff like that? Or how about Judy Bari? Or Angela Davis, who's still alive today. Rest in peace, Judy. And these are people who you will describe as socialists or anarchists who want to, in some way, properly redistribute wealth and control the means of production so it benefits the people. Fascism, which we will get to a lot later, obviously, because we got to go over typical neoconservatism and conservatism, is nowhere near on the fucking left. And we will see why in a second, but just know that it was a reason why Mussolini or Pinochet or Bolsonaro, Bolsonaro is alive now, but these people persecute leftists for a reason. If they were leftists, they would not persecute their supposed allies if they were true leftists or leftists at all. It's been found to be known through history that Hitler put the socialist part on National Socialism because workers' parties were popular at the time and he wanted to sucker more people into supporting them. And this lie still persists to this day. But as we move on to, I guess you can kind of put these together, or three together. You got conservatism. You have neoconservatism. You can have, let me think, what's another one that could possibly go here? Libertarianism. These people are fucking assholes. Whoops, spelled conservative wrong. I spelled it right there and wrong up there. Give me a second so I don't get called out in the comment. Haha, you left this because you spelled conservatism wrong. This is why I'm conservative. But for real, these people are fucking assholes. Because because the thing about conservatism is, what are they conserving? Conservatives just want to conserve a point in time that doesn't exist. And they are useful idiots, to the people to the right of them because they support a lot of the same political predilections and policies. Conservatives and neoconservatives and libertarians all hate civil rights protection because they believe that the world is a meritocracy and that there's no reason for the government to be intervening. And when obviously we've seen that in the past with things like Jim Crow laws and of course slavery itself, or women not being able to vote, or currently now the federal government should get involved with the Roe v. Wade shit that's going on. We've seen through history the disaster for minorities when the federal government does not get involved and we so-called let the states decide, on politics. It also, libertarians love that it causes an imbalance for capitalists. So that way, when there's no welfare, social security, or food stamp programs, the people that can't work die. So everybody works as much as possible. You get paid as little as possible, and the government does little to nothing to help you. And the only thing that the government does do is protect property rights. People that fit here, everybody's favorite president, Donald Trump, even though he has flirted with white nationalism and promoted fascist street gangs. So some people might argue this. Don't get mad at me for saying that. But when you tell a fascist street gang run by a neo-Nazi named Gavin McInnes to stand back and stand by, it doesn't paint a good picture. After Trump, You got opportunist scumbags like Ted Cruz or Liz Cheney. This bitch has been coming up because, you know, people feel bad for her. I don't. What about Mitt Romney? Is a good example of a neoconservative, at least in the United States. I would put Margaret Thatcher, but I really kind of want to keep it America only, because I don't want to like confuse people. And speaking of that, Ben Shapiro pushes this lie where the political spectrum on one side of the road and the other is different. A complete, total, full of shit lie. If I meet a socialist from Great Britain or France or, you know, fucking Zimbabwe, we will have the same basic values and we wouldn't be arguing back and forth with each other over if critical race theory is destroying the planet or some shit. But yeah, and then we move on to last but not least for political ideologies, which is way far to the right. We have, let me see if I can move this over before we get started, because I want to do a good job and shit. I don't want to like kind of half do this. I guess that'll do it. But we have right-wing authoritarianism, I'm not going to type that whole thing out. And we have fascism. Did I just spell fascism wrong? I type it 1,000,000 times a day. Dude, I cannot do this today. Let me see. There we go. Fingers crossing over each other. But anyway, this is where you don't want your country to be, and this is where you don't want to be around a person who holds these political predilections. These people more, because like at least conservatism entertains the idea of democracy. These people are anti-democratic, bigoted, hateful, and they wish to consolidate power, not control the means of production like the communists, but they consolidate power. The power stays in the hand of the fucking capitalists. They consolidate the power of the state and the wealthy. And wealthy people are known to support these people for financial reasons, because they don't want to see an end to their own monopoly on wealth in their given country. And I really don't know what to even say about fascism that's not vulgar and graphic. You know, these people want to kill people. They want to lock people in camps. They hate people for things that they can't change about themselves. Over in this area, you're guaranteed to see lots of homophobia, lots of sexism, and not to the point where, you know, the conservatives are just kind of talking about it. They will actually go out and physically harm people because they want to enforce a certain social hierarchy or political views. And of course, lots of racism. Fascism is racist by definition. And it's not necessarily white supremacy. You got a lot of black supremacist fascism and other races too. The Japanese during World War II can be thought of as a fascist dictatorship, for example. So, people that hold this ideology throughout history, because again, I really don't feel like necessarily, even though some people like Marjorie Taylor Greene kind of get like up against the wall, you can't call her a Nazi because she's been said a lot of anti-Jewish shit. So could you for Lord Boebert or Trump himself, or, you know, and more. But we're going to stick to people that are known fascists. This area of activists At least from history, because we're gonna pull from history for this one again, so I can be fair. Even though I said Bernie Sanders on the other one, because that's the only modern contemporary person in government that's actually a true leftist. But we're gonna, I guess, for right wing authoritarianism and fascism. Did I put two freaking commas? But we're gonna have to pull from history again. People from history that can be thought of as fascism is Psych. What about Nietzsche through socialists out of helicopters? Or who was the son of a bitch that was in control of the Argentinian dictatorship? Yeah, I guess that's his name. This guy killed lots of leftists and enforced a right-wing authoritarian rule. Really, man? Caps lock. Over Argentina for a short period of time. I talked to a young woman over the internet, at least that's from Argentina. The damage done by this guy, and I spelled his name a little wrong. Like all fascists, have scars on Argentina till this day. And that hurts to know, because a lot of people, family members, were killed and persecuted because they dissented against this scumbag. And the people organizing against them were leftists. But I guess we can move back closer to home. A person that can be described as a right-wing authoritarian / fascist is this bastard. Or how about this son of a bitch? Or how about I don't know if I'm gonna spell his name right because I'm not looking it up. And yeah. We got a Klan member, a Nazi, and a fascist. Or we can get more contemporary. We got I really don't care, but he went on to an interview saying that he said that and it's especially having a Jewish partner, it's hard to believe somebody could say that they can go to Israel, and I can't even repeat it because he said something awful. And I know, black people got their own thing with slavery, but the H thing is not even something I feel, because it makes me even sad just to even think about talking about it. And he said that terrible shit about these people that suffered and struggled and died. But anyway, that's basic political theory. And I'm going to snap myself back in and try not to be as, sad, because I thought about what the fuck that bitch ass Gavin McInnes said. But basically, in the center, you got the Democratic National Convention with centrist people who don't believe in the seizure of means of production, but basic economic reforms that helps people. Then to the left of them, you got progressivism and social democracy with people like Cortez, Jamar Bowman, and Rashida Tlaib, people who don't necessarily want the complete seizure of the means of production by one entity or another, but believes in some forms of wealth distribution and basic social services that helps working people. Then you got left-wing politics, which are mostly absent in America, especially at this point in time, because They were oppressed and suppressed throughout the early 20th century, especially after the Russian Revolution. You had the old McCarthyism shit going on, but it includes major forms of wealth redistribution and working control of the means of production in some way or another, and a complete abolition of social hierarchy. So no racism, no sexism, no homophobia, and more. Then starting on the right, you got, of course, like I've typed out, you got ideologies such as conservatism itself, neoconservatism, and libertarianism, which believes that the world is a meritocracy, that everybody has the opportunity to work hard, which is a very flawed one, at least in my opinion, because throughout history have shown that people that are minorities or have been the victim of persecution, such as black people, Jewish people, and gay people, are behind the step to need additional government help to make sure that they get the help that they need. And then to the right of them, you have right-wing authoritarianism and fascism, and I guess you could say white supremacy and other ideologies and stuff like that, like theocracies and shit, where they believe in the persecution of minorities. You see lots of homophobia, sexism, and other forms of social hierarchy, and there is no, the people that own the means of production work directly with the government, maintain their ownership, and collectively together oppress the civilian populace. So I hope that this video, even if it wasn't the most interesting with me getting loud and getting angry, show you some basics on how political theory has worked and undo at least some of the damage that people like Ben Shapiro and Crowder have done to the average American's opinion on